In our modern world, we've got a problem. And basically, most people feel unfulfilled. They feel either frustrated, bored, or just unhappy in some way. And I was thinking about this and talking about this with my friend, and it just hit me so hard, this problem, in a new way. Some of these ideas I've talked about before on my channel, but I want to revivify this and just talk about it in a fresh way. So we feel unfulfilled a lot of the time. And what really hit me was this, right? So normally what it is we feel and we think, okay, I'm doing a certain thing in my life, like I have a relationship with someone, or I have a job and I'm going to work and doing that, or I'm doing whatever else I'm doing around my house, in my life, friends, family, all the different aspects of life, right? And so what it is fundamentally, there is a disconnect between how we feel and our actions or our behavior. And so, for example, we might say to ourselves, I have a good relationship, but why am I not happy? I've achieved what I've been aiming at work. Why do I not feel good about that? Yeah, I've done this and I've met my physical strength goals, but who really cares, right? And so there's this idea of I've done stuff, but for some reason, I don't feel what I think I should be feeling considering what I've done. That is what I pointed out, a disconnect between how you feel and your actions or what you've done, right? And so this is a bigger problem that I think we are experiencing in our modern world. And it's basically this idea of pragmatic thinking or linking everything to some form of utility, right? And so it's an important idea. It's important to think strategically in your life. If I do this or if I do that, what will I gain from it? That is the common wisdom. That's what we think is savvy. We think is intelligent, which in some form it is. But there's a consequence to continuously thinking of everything we do as having to result in some benefit outside of the action or task itself. For example, I was cooking some food before, a very simple task that we all do. Well, some of us buy food out. But anyway, I was cooking my food and I thought to myself, wow, I just realized most of the time when I cook and eat food, I'm thinking what I can get out of the food. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm cooking this healthy food because it's going to give me X, Y, and Z. So I'm trying to get something out of it. And the fact that I'm pushing myself to cook instead of go and eat out or do something else is also me putting pressure on myself to perform some mundane task in order to derive a benefit of the health that I would receive from eating in a particular way. Now, that of course makes sense. That of course is what we do to become healthy. And that's why I'm giving you this example, because that's something we all can relate to if we are someone who wants to be healthy in our lives. But the point is this. The mindset is that I want to get something from what I'm doing. I want to get a benefit from my action that lays outside of the action itself, right? And so what this is it's using our thinking to construct a goal or an aim or a result or something we want to get out of life, a premeditated structure of what I want, what I'm moving towards, which is mainly structured in our lives through work, because we spend a lot of our time working, and we're most of the time doing things we don't necessarily enjoy. So our feelings are out of alignment with our action in that moment. But because we know, or because we have our thoughts and we construct the idea of, but if I do this, I will get this other result. If I do X, I will get Z or Y. What we've done as a society and personally, we have habituated to this process of dissociating from our emotions and entering into action because of some abstract or unrealized idea or framework that we've thought of that lays outside of the action and behavior itself. So what we've done is we've left behind how we actually feel. Or we try to pep talk how we feel, and we promise our feelings something in the future. You see, that's what we do. But if we keep doing that again and again and again, we never actually reach the destination. And that's that whole generic phrase that actually has quite a lot of wisdom packed into it, which is, it's about the journey, not the destination, right? It's about the journey, not the destination. But here I'm unpacking it in a way where we're looking at your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, and we're taking them all into consideration in an understanding of how you function psychologically day to day, how these three operate together in your unique circumstance day to day, and how that impacts our sense of gratification and satisfaction in life, and further, our sense of identity and understanding of ourselves. Because we may ask, I've got a relationship, I've got a job, I should be happy, but I don't feel good at all. I've got this time off. I've gone and created this thing. I'm doing this project. I'm doing my projects. I've tried to move towards something I thought was good for my life, but for some reason I still don't feel good. It might be because you're unconsciously trying to get something out of what you set yourself to do, right? So in other words, it comes back down to this idea of, that I've spoken about before, of intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the type of motivation that motivates your behavior to do something, to perform an action or behavior for the sake of the action or behavior itself. You derive joy out of actually acting in that particular way. You're not doing it for anything outside of the behavior or action itself. Extrinsic motivation is when you do something because you want a result or something, a reward or something that results from the action. But you gain that outside of the action itself. And that is basically mostly what we do in our lives. We go to work for money, for something outside of what we enjoy. Now, there are ways to kind of combine them in a very complex way, but I don't want to get bogged down into those details. But the principle is this, is we are running off through our thinking too much. We are thinking what we want to do instead of learning the wisdom of aligning our feeling with the action. Now, this is where the ideas and such concepts come in, such as mindfulness and being present in the moment. These ideas are good, but I don't want to dive too deeply into them because I feel that sometimes it gets lost. I want to talk about mindfulness only in the sense that it applies to this very problem of feeling unfulfilled. and aligning your feelings with your actions. When you are present, right, you're not thinking of the future. You are enjoying the task itself. That is actually the only way you can enter into what's called a flow state as well. It's being completely present and having your attention on what you're doing. Yes, you might be thinking a little bit ahead, because if you're doing anything, you are, if you're driving and you see an obstacle, you think, okay, I need to move around that. So we're not being too literalistic here, but being present in the behavior or action or activity, let's say, itself, being present in the activity itself. And I think that's what we have to do more. We have to come back into our body, into our senses, and become present of what it is we are actually doing, right? That's the first step. But the second step is somehow mending the relationship between how we feel about the actual behavior or action or task that we are doing, right? And so what's interesting is I've often felt frustrated in many ways about things, right? And I often still do. So it's still an issue that I'm working through. However, what I have noticed is that it has got a little bit better, as far as internally at least. I've felt a shift and in how I feel about certain tasks that I do around the house. Now, I do still get frustrated, as I said, but when I click into this mindfulness, or what I call peace, it's kind of this feeling of being at peace with actually what you're doing, and not thinking you have to strive for something that is unrealistic or something you have to become, right? Because sometimes, now, I'm not saying don't have any goals or don't have any aspirations, but when you're feeling disheartened or frustrated, that means you're emotionally, you are getting angry, or you are getting frustrated at the task itself. And that is keeping you, it's because you are thinking of a goal that you want to get to, and what you're doing is blocking you from getting there, right? And so what you want to do is come back. So in other words, you're trying to get to the destination and you're feeling frustrated instead of enjoying the process. And you have to come back into yourself and enjoy the process itself and not worry about the outcome. Because if you keep worrying, if you keep striving and you're like, oh, all these obstacles are in my way, I'm trying to get to where I'm trying to get to, that I thought of this goal that I'm trying to attain, and all these things are blocking me. Oh, I have to do this. Now I have to do this. Oh, then I have to do, oh man, I have to clean the dishes. Now I have to do this. I have to pick up this person. I have to respond to this email. I have to, you see? So you feel bad about the task you're doing. But what you have to remind yourself is, why? Why you feel so bad? Oh, because I want this to happen. Yeah. I've heard that story. This is a story that you have. It is a thought structure or a pattern of thinking, right? So I'm trying to get you to become aware of your thoughts and what you believe, your beliefs, what you think, your goals, the rationales that you've constructed, the metaphysical beliefs that you have even. They can impede on you. Oh, I should be this, I should be that, or, like I should live out these principles that I believe in. Yeah, all these things are thought structures and ways of being and living that can be harmful if taken to the extreme, right? And so I had a dream that I'll just briefly end with this. And it was that a woman came out of the water and she grabbed my hand And she said to me, take off the amulet of self-discipline. And then she said, the man upstairs won't like it, but give me access and I will go up there and rearrange things. And I said, yes, okay, I'll give you permission. And she went up there and it was like all colorful and something was rearranged. And all I can say is after that dream, my emotions were filled and I felt far more relaxed about different things. Now, I believe that's some type of personal working out of my own emotions and a revelation for me, right? And that doesn't mean I never have any difficulties ever again, but it's something I have to lean back into. It's something I have to remind myself of. And maybe you've heard a lot of these concepts before, but I'm here to remind us again, not just for you, but me too, right? Me and my friends, we all feel these everyday situations. And so my hope of this video is that we can come back into that idea, that dream, right? To me meant you don't have to do things. Take off the amulet of self-discipline, right? And so first of all, it was a woman, which represents the feminine, saying I need to change things on the masculine. See, it's a very masculine principle to strive for achievement, to strive for trying to maximize every little bit of everything, right? Plan everything, strategically think of everything, break it all down, right? And then go and get the perfect formulation and drive your action all the way through that perfect formulation that you've thought out. That's very high-minded, but the emotions say, hey, watch out. I just want to relax over here. Now, you don't want to just be chilling too much, right? So there needs to be a balance. But what I will say is, in our modern world, we definitely praise the values of achievement more than the value of fulfillment. And that's what this video is about. How to tap back into fulfillment in life, right? And to me, the problem is articulated as a disconnect between your feelings and your actions. And the idea of intrinsic motivation, the idea of just trying to appreciate a task again, no matter how mundane or simple. Try to enjoy the task itself. Try to appreciate, and how do you do that, right? How? Try to appreciate it. Try to look at it and say, hey, there's something very simple about cleaning a fork. Oh, forks. Forks are interesting, right? Asians, they use chopsticks. I've got a fork. I wonder who invented the fork. Pitchforks. Pitchforks are nice. So that's just a stupid self-dialogue. But the whole idea is, you don't have to do that exactly, but it's getting back into appreciating the simple aspects of what you're doing instead of being too high-minded with your thoughts. I should always be doing this. I should always be maximizing my strength and going into the gym, and then I should always be reading like a super reader and be reading 1,000 books and personal development, and I need to be super spiritual and connect with God all the time. Or, there's all different people who believe different things. Or I need to always be earning money and being super efficient, waking up early, having cold showers, and all these things are good. I'm not saying don't try to do anything, but what I'm saying is don't do it at the cost of your fulfillment. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be a conversation between your thoughts, between your feelings, between your actions. And it sounds a bit weird, but if you treat them all as different people, subjects, they have a particular point of view, right? So, you can, it's very simple. Let me put it very simply for you. You can imagine a scenario where you think of something that would be ideal with your thoughts and you have a rationale for why you'd want to do it, but then you physically look at your abilities physically and you notice, I can't perform that action. So it just becomes obvious. I can't do that. That is a conversation between your physical self, or your actions and your behaviors and your thoughts. That's very simple. I can't physically do that. Thoughts, that you need to adjust the thought because the thought isn't aligning with what I can actually do. That makes sense between thoughts and our behavior or actions, but it often gets lost between our thoughts and our feelings. The feeling too is something that says, hey, I have a limitation. I have a limit of what I can do. I need you to consider me in this conversation when you act and do things. That is the most important thing that I'm trying to get across to you. If you can master and sit in that conversation and receive the healing out of that conversation, because often, think about it, when you reconcile with someone who has a difference to you, there's often a healing that comes through a dialogue. You have to come back to your feelings and link it and try to link it back into your behaviors and your actions. Okay, and so that takes a little bit to work out, but I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for watching, and if you'd like to support me on Patreon, that'd be much appreciated. I'm also offering one-on-one coaching. If you are interested in that, then send me an email. I've got the email in the description. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.